Hello, my name is Katie. I am a professor of stuttering and fluency disorders at a speech-language pathology graduate program. I may be your professor, and that's why you're watching this video, is because I told you to. Or you might be a student in a course somewhere else. You're watching this video for information, or perhaps your professor assigned it to you. That's why I'm making this publicly available. This is about the pseudo-stuttering assignment that is very, very commonly assigned in stuttering or fluency disorders courses. The general gist of this assignment is that students are told to go out in public, in the world, stutter on the street, in coffee shops, to strangers, experience what that's like, get some reactions from people, and then you come back and talk with your professor or write a reflection or something of that nature. And that is the pseudo-stuttering assignment. And that can be flexed in different ways, but that's the general gist of this. This is a very classic assignment. It's been around in our field for years and years and years. But in 2022, when I am making this video, it has become controversial of late. And students are pushing back on their professors now, saying, no, we shouldn't do this exercise. And the general reasoning behind this, or the general gist behind the pushback, is that this is a disability simulation exercise, which is very ableist and unethical. There's a whole conversation there about disability simulation exercises, which I won't get into for time. But the general idea of why they're wrong is for the same reason that wearing blackface to try to understand the experience of a person who is Black or African American is also wrong. So students don't want to do this assignment, and they're saying it would be unethical for them to do this assignment because it would be akin to going out and wearing blackface. Basically, that's an extreme thing, but I'm using it for time purposes. So my purpose for this video here is two things. I assign this assignment, and actually this video is the culmination of the better part of a year's worth of conversations and exploration with lots of folks in the stuttering community, fellow teachers of graduate students, trying to figure out what we do with all of this. And my takeaway from going through this process was that I was not telling my students to stutter enough. So I used to have them do this as a rather standalone, isolated thing. And if you're my student and you're watching this, this is your preview to finding out that you are going to have to stutter for the duration of our entire semester in some form or another over the coming weeks. So here is the why behind this, and basically two things. So the first why I assign this assignment is because people who stutter, by and large, want to know that their SLPs have had this experience. It's really wonderful, especially today's generation of graduate students are really passionate about advocacy and changing systems and all of that. And what has been a little ironic in the past couple of years is as this controversy has come up and students have said, oh no, this is very ableist, we shouldn't do this because it wouldn't be wanted by, it's not good for the disability community, it's not good for the stuttering community. One of the reasons this assignment exists is because of the advocacy of the stuttering community. There is a stuttering community, I should say, of people who stutter who have been organizing together for years and years to promote awareness and advocacy about issues that impact them as people who stutters. And the biggest group that they have been advocating at has been SLPs. So I saw a Facebook conversation last year about some students saying we should lobby ASHA to get programs to cancel this assignment. People who stutter have been advocating ASHA for longer than most graduate students have been alive to change the way things are done within speech therapy. So while this may look like a disability simulation exercise on its surface, and unfortunately I do think a lot of professors are assigning it as a disability simulation exercise, which should not be the point of it, this is something that we ask students to go through because the stuttering community has said it is really, really important when they are seeking help from speech-language pathologists. You are going to be more effective at helping us if you have gone through this exercise. So why is that? This brings me to number two. This assignment should not be assigned as a disability simulation exercise. If you are not a person who stutters and you go out and stutter in public, whether that's a little, a lot, in different scenarios, whatever, you might experience some of the same reactions. You might get the same comments from members of the public, but that will only ever be a fractional version of the experience that people who truly stutter go through on a day-to-day basis for their entire lives. So it's fine if you get some taste, but that's not actually why we're doing this. The reason I have my students do this assignment is because you are going to need to stutter to strangers in public with your clients when you go to be a therapist. And even if you don't stutter, doing the pseudo-stuttering is a really, really intense experience. It's always interesting to read the reflections that come back or talk with students about this. And if you are having a really intense experience and you're someone's therapist, you can't be having your own personal intense experience and be their therapist at the same time. So the reason you need to do this assignment, and actually what the research about this assignment has shown us, is that you need to do it a lot because you need to get so comfortable and so skilled with stuttering, even if it's just pseudo-stuttering, and maintain awareness so that you can do this with someone else, with your client, and not be focused on what's happening for you personally, but you need to be focused on how your client is processing watching you stutter. And ultimately, that's the why behind this assignment. It's not because you're going to learn what it's like to be a person who stutters. We do that by listening to people who stutter. You are going out to stutter so that you can actually have the skills and ability to help your clients in therapy once you become a therapist. That's, I think, really all I have to say about that. My previous video was a 30-minute long version, but that really comes down to the crux of it. This is a hard video. It's going to be awkward. A lot of students write about how they're afraid that people might clock them for being not a real person who stutters. And I was talking with a friend about this, and he said, that's kind of ironic because people who stutter are afraid that they're going to be clocked for being a real person who stutters. So either way, you're afraid of being clocked for something that there is shame about. And that's really the core of this. And I would say, too, as someone who has been honored to be welcomed into the stuttering community, if you are not a person who stutters and you want to be an ally, one of the biggest principles of allyship is that you are willing to take on and share in someone else's struggle. We will not know what it's like to be a person who stutters if you're not a person who stutters. But you can show that you are willing to enter into a difficult place and stand in that place for your client so that they don't have to. Perhaps in a stuttering exercise where you're going out, again, you're the one stuttering and the client is just watching you. So they can have a new way of experiencing stuttering and a new way of processing stuttering and a new way of learning about stuttering. And you're the one who's going to give them that. But you cannot give them that unless you have practiced this first yourself. And graduate school is the time to practice. It's the time to be anxious about things. It's the time to screw it up and do it badly so that you're not doing this for the first time fresh as a newbie when you have a real client. So that's why you're getting assigned it. You have questions and you're my student, you can come ask me. Also welcome people posting questions in the chat. You can email me. My email address is katie@speechirl.com, and I'll put that in the info below the video. Welcome lots of conversation about this. I also have a second video which is for professors and guidelines on what to consider when doing this assignment. Again, you should not be assigning this as a disability simulation exercise. This should be about learning to do a therapeutic exercise and activity. But there's lots of conversation we should be having about this. So that's all I got to say. Thanks for watching, and good luck out there.